In the summer of 2022, Dr. Evelyn Reed, whose name has been changed, was the CEO of a successful technology company in the suburbs of Los Angeles, California. Her life was always busy with meetings, business trips, and work pressure. Tonight was no different. She had to work late at the office, dealing with some important issues before a challenging new week began tomorrow. Around 11 p.m., Evelyn left the office. She walked out to the parking lot. The air was colder than inside the air-conditioned building. The night sky was clear, with thousands of twinkling stars. She got into her luxurious car, a new SUV fully equipped with technology, including high-quality dash cams in the front and rear. The dashcam automatically turned on as soon as the engine was started. Evelyn drove away from the deserted industrial area, heading onto a highway that was less traveled at this hour. On either side of the road were empty lots, groves of trees, and occasionally a few houses set far back. The atmosphere in the car was quiet, with only the gentle music from the radio and the steady sound of the engine. Evelyn felt a bit tired, but the satisfaction of the work completed helped her feel more relaxed. While driving on a deserted stretch of road, where streetlights were sparse, Evelyn suddenly saw something strange ahead, about a few dozen meters from her car. At first, she thought it was a balloon caught on a power line, or a piece of trash blowing in the wind. But as she got closer, Evelyn realized that it wasn't a normal object. It was floating in midair, a few meters above the ground, and seemed to be moving. Evelyn slowed down, squinting to see more clearly. The closer she got, the clearer the figure became. Her heart suddenly beat faster. It was a head, a woman's head, with long black hair flowing down. Evelyn gripped the steering wheel in horror. The head had no body. It was just hovering in midair. And then, something even more terrifying happened. Below the head, a bundle of something dark red was dangling, looking like internal organs, hanging down. Evelyn gasped quietly, her voice caught in her throat. The sight was too disgusting, too surreal. She slammed on the brakes, stopping the car in the middle of the road. The floating head was still ahead of her car, seemingly oblivious to her presence. Evelyn, trembling, turned on her headlights, shining them directly onto the floating head. Under the headlights, the scene became even more horrifying. The woman's face looked pale, with wide-open eyes, staring straight ahead. Her long black hair floated in the air, and the bundle of dark red organs dangled, looking like a gruesome cluster of ropes. Evelyn knew she was witnessing something horrifying, something that could not be explained by any natural law she had ever known. Fear enveloped her, but alongside it, a strange curiosity and an urge to record this moment also arose. As a CEO in a technology company, she always believed in evidence. She took out her phone, trying to record, but her hands were shaking too much. Just then, Evelyn suddenly remembered that her car's dashcam was on. The camera was recording the entire scene before her eyes. She sat in the car, staring intently at the floating head ahead, trembling all over. This nightmare was real. It was happening right before her eyes. And her dashcam was recording everything. The floating head with dangling organs was still there. In the darkness on the lonely road. Like a chilling warning of things that exist beyond human understanding. Evelyn sat in the car. Her heart pounding. Staring at the floating head ahead. The headlights shone directly on its pale face and the horrifying dangling organs. She couldn't look away. The sight was too horrifying. Too unbelievable. The car's dashcam was still running. Recording everything in detail. The floating head didn't move. Just hovered in place. Its long black hair gently swayed in the still air. Its wide-open eyes weren't looking at Evelyn, but straight ahead, towards the end of the lonely road. Evelyn felt a sudden cold draft engulf the car. The temperature inside seemed to drop unusually. A strange smell, like damp earth and something decaying, began to seep into the car. It made no sound, only the eerie silence and its evil presence. Evelyn tried to regain her composure. She knew she had to do something. She couldn't stay here forever. She gently released the brake, trying to slowly drive past the floating head. However, as soon as the car moved slightly, the floating head suddenly whipped around. Its empty eyes, which had been staring straight ahead, now looked directly at Evelyn. Through the car's windshield, Evelyn screamed in horror. That gaze, it wasn't a human gaze. It was empty, soulless, and full of evil. She felt as if her soul was being frozen by that look. Then, the floating head slowly moved towards the car. It hovered silently, with only the sound of the dangling organs gently brushing against each other. It floated right up to Evelyn's car window, only centimeters away from her. A pale face, empty eyes, and a strange twisted smile appeared on its face. Evelyn gripped the steering wheel tightly, trembling uncontrollably. She could clearly see every strand of hair, every gruesome detail of the dangling organs. The strong foul odor filled her nostrils, making her nauseous. She closed her eyes tightly, not wanting to look anymore. She heard the dangling organs gently brushing against the car window. The sound was very faint, but chilling. Evelyn felt as if time stopped. She was trapped in the car, facing a surreal nightmare. Then, silence returned. The sound stopped. The cold draft dissipated. The foul odor gradually faded. Evelyn slowly opened her eyes. The floating head was gone. She gasped for breath, drenched in sweat. The car was still in the middle of the lonely road. The headlights were still shining straight ahead. She quickly pressed the accelerator, driving away from there as fast as possible. She didn't dare to look back. She knew she had experienced something horrifying, something that didn't belong to this world. And her dashcam had recorded everything. Undeniable evidence of the confrontation on the lonely road. The empty gaze of that floating head would haunt her forever. After arriving home, Evelyn rushed to the bathroom and vomited. She felt disgusted and utterly terrified. What she had witnessed on the way home haunted her mind. Impossible to erase. She sat down, trembling, trying to regain her composure. The image of the floating head with dangling organs, its empty eyes staring directly at her, it was too horrifying. She knew she had to review the footage from the dashcam. Despite her fear, she needed evidence. She needed to know she wasn't going crazy. Evelyn connected the dashcam to her computer. She opened the video file from that evening. She watched the footage, her heart pounding in her chest. The video began with her driving normally on the lonely road. Then, the strange sight appeared. The floating head ahead. The footage was clearer than what her eyes could see in the darkness. It recorded more details of the pale face, the floating hair, and the gruesome dangling organs. Evelyn clenched her fists. It was real. It wasn't an illusion. The footage continued, recording the moment she stopped the car, turned on the headlights. The lights illuminated the floating head more clearly. Then, to the most terrifying moment, the floating head whipped around, looking straight at the car. The camera clearly recorded its empty, soulless eyes, and the twisted smile that appeared on its face. Evelyn held her breath. She was right. That gaze was real. The footage continued, recording the moment the floating head moved closer to the car, pressing against the window. The front camera recorded the image of the floating head at a very close distance. With all its gruesome details, Evelyn recoiled from the screen, trembling all over. Undeniable evidence. She had encountered something supernatural, something evil. She knew that this sight did not belong to any creature she knew. It was a ghost, an entity from another world. Evelyn began searching for information online. She typed keywords like flying ghost, flying head with organs, female ghost no body. After some searching, she found something that sent shivers down her spine. A legend from Thailand, the legend of Ma Ka Rong, Kresu. The description of Ma Ka Rong matched horrifyingly with what she had seen. It is the spirit of a young woman, consisting only of her head and internal organs, without a body or limbs. Flying at night, the legend says that Ma Ka Rong drinks blood and eats raw animals. Evelyn read the information about Ma Ka Rong, feeling as if she was reading a horror story. But it was real. Why would a Ma Ka Rong appear in the suburbs of Los Angeles? The legend says it usually appears in rural areas or secluded places in Southeast Asia. Evelyn found no explanation as to why the Ma Ka Rong appeared here and why it confronted her on the lonely road. The horrifying truth: she had encountered a creature from legend, a ghost from a distant culture, appearing in her modern world. The evidence in the footage was real. Ma Ka Rong was real. And it had looked straight at her. The truth about the Ma Ka Rong haunted Evelyn. She couldn't sleep soundly. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the image of the floating head with dangling organs and that terrifying empty gaze. She knew she couldn't keep this secret to herself. She shared the footage with a few close friends and trusted colleagues. Their reactions varied greatly. Some were utterly shocked and terrified when they saw the footage. They believed Evelyn's story and expressed worry for her safety. However, others were skeptical, claiming it was fake footage, some kind of prank, or a special effect. They tried to find rational explanations, but couldn't. Whether people believed her or not, Evelyn knew she had encountered something supernatural and evil. And the haunting didn't stop with the footage. The shadow of the Ma Ka Rong seemed to have followed her home. She began to feel strange things around her. The unpleasant smell would occasionally appear in her house or yard. Strange noises at night. Scratching on the walls. Something moving on the roof. Faint heavy breathing from somewhere in the darkness. She felt constantly watched. When she was home alone, she always had the feeling that someone was watching her from behind the window or from a corner of the room. One night, as Evelyn was working in her home office, she suddenly heard a strange noise coming from outside the window. The sound was like an animal eating, accompanied by gruesome slurping sounds. She crept quietly towards the window. Looking out, in the darkness, she couldn't see anything clearly. However, she sensed a presence right outside the window. A cold and evil presence. Then, she suddenly saw two glowing red dots in the darkness, staring intently at her. Evelyn froze in terror. Those glowing red eyes. They were like the eyes the children in the Amityville legend described Jody the pig as having. And like the eyes she had seen, or sensed, from that floating head. She knew who it was. The Ma-Ka-Rong. It had come to her house. The glowing red eyes stayed there for a while, staring directly at her, like a warning. Then, they slowly disappeared into the darkness. Evelyn backed away from the window, trembling all over. The Ma-Ka-Rong didn't just appear on the lonely road. It had found her. It was following her. Why? Why was it doing this? Why did it appear in the US and why was it targeting her? She found no explanation in the legend of the Ma-Ka-Rong. The legend only spoke of its hunting and blood-drinking behavior. It didn't speak of it following a specific person. The haunting was relentless. Evelyn knew that her life had completely changed since that night. She lived in constant fear, always feeling watched. The trailing shadow from the east had entered her world, bringing with it horror and mystery. Evelyn Reed's life turned into a nightmare of survival. The Ma-Ka-Rong continued to haunt her, its presence growing stronger and more threatening. It no longer just tormented her from afar. She began to see its figure more clearly in glimpses, at the edge of her vision, or in horrifying nightmares. The foul and cold smell appeared more frequently, sometimes suddenly enveloping her, no matter where she was. The strange noises were also clearer, the gentle flapping of wings outside the window at night. The sound of dangling organs faintly heard from somewhere nearby. Evelyn lived in a state of constant tension and sleep deprivation. Her work was affected. She found it hard to concentrate, was easily startled. She sought help from various sources, paranormal experts, folklore researchers, and even people connected to the Thai community in the US. She hoped to find an explanation for why the Ma-Ka-Rong appeared here and how to make it leave. A folklore researcher, name changed, told Evelyn that sometimes a Ma-Ka-Rong might follow a person if that person accidentally witnessed it, or if the area had some connection to the legend or other evil things. Perhaps the lonely road Evelyn drove on had some history. Or perhaps she had simply seen it, and it had decided to choose her. As for getting rid of it, the researcher said it was very difficult. Ma-Ka-Rong is an evil spirit, it doesn't give up easily. Some legends say it can be repelled by bright light or sharp objects, or by specific Thai religious rituals. Evelyn tried everything she could. She kept the lights on in her house at night. She carried a small knife for self-defense. She went to a local Thai temple for help. But the monks, names changed, were hesitant or didn't believe her story. Or perhaps were scared of the force she described. One night, as Evelyn was driving home, she saw it again, the floating head with dangling organs, hovering in midair ahead of her car. This time, it didn't just hover there. It moved closer to her car, flying around, as if examining her. Evelyn gripped the steering wheel in panic. She didn't dare to stop. She drove faster, trying to get away from it. But the macaron flew very fast. It trailed her car, hovering right outside the car window, looking directly at her with empty eyes and a cold smile. She could clearly see every gruesome detail of it at a very close distance. The strong foul odor filled her nostrils. Evelyn screamed and slammed on the brakes. The car stopped abruptly. The macaron also stopped, hovering right in front of the windshield. It looked straight at her. And from its mouth, a faint sound emerged, like a hiss or a gruesome whisper. Evelyn didn't understand what it said, but she felt the evil and hunger radiating from it. She knew she was facing a predatory creature. Fortunately, just then, another car approached from behind, its headlights shining brightly on the macaron. Hit by the bright light, the macaron seemed startled. It quickly retreated, then flew high up and vanished into the darkness. Evelyn gasped for breath, trembling all over. She had narrowly escaped death. That experience was a terrifying reminder that the macaron was real. And it was very dangerous. Evelyn knew she couldn't escape it. It would continue to haunt her. The truth about the trailing shadow was a horrific burden. She lived in perpetual fear, always feeling as if someone was watching her in the darkness, waiting for the right moment. The macaron, the nightmare from the East, had entered the life of a CEO in America, bringing with it the horror and mystery of an ancient legend. And perhaps, Evelyn would never know why this was happening to her, or if she would ever truly escape that trailing shadow. If you enjoyed these true horror stories, or stories based on alleged accounts and legends like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the channel to follow our latest videos. We will bring you more terrifying and haunting stories. Thank you for listening.